Business today is faced with the need to be responsible, responsive and environmentally sustainable as well as economical. Successful businesses of the future will be high quality, high tech, clean and innovative. They'll also include high skilled jobs. Doing business today exists in the certainty of change. Hi, I'm Kathy Davis and welcome to Good Business. Today we're taking a look at 21st century business. To discuss this issue, today we welcome business expert Brian Brown from Better Business Now, Jenny Palmer, ACN independent business owner, and public relations expert Peter Ellis. Firstly to you, Brian, what are some of the key changes that you've seen and are seeing for business in the 21st century?
Sure. Obviously with the internet, we are now a global economy. Whereas before, mum and dad businesses, we can now sell worldwide. That sort of opens up its own things where marketing traditionally was a one-way communication between the business and the customer. Now the customer actually has a voice where through social media and other sites, the customer can get on there, and if you had bad service in the past, you could sort of skip over it, but you can't do that anymore.
Are we keeping pace with the demands of our society in business terms?
Look, some are, but I think majority aren't. And because what might be relevant one day can be obsolete the next day.
Jenny Palmer, in brief terms, what would you say are the big challenges in operating a business in the 21st century?
I agree with Brian, and I think it's the speed, the absolute acceleration of technology and keeping up with that. And I think too, distribution channels are changing rapidly. And I think, who would have thought that we would be doing internet TV, even just a few years ago. So channels are changing in every industry and consumers are so much more in tune and educated, so we have to keep up with that.
It's quite exhausting and I would imagine expensive for businesses to keep up with it.
It's unbelievable.
Peter Ellis, you've radically changed how you do business. Was that a huge challenge for you?
It was in the beginning, primarily because I think when we went to market with a new way of doing publicity and PR, the customers weren't quite ready yet to shop online, to accept the things that we were saying that they needed. So for us, traditional PR was media relations, printed media, newspapers, whereas then we switched to focusing on online media, social media sites, and having to first educate the customer on what they needed and why was difficult, whereas now people are on all the time online and they understand what they need to do to manage their reputation online, whether it's customer feedback like Brian said, reviews, that sort of thing. So changing over to be online, to deal online, but also for customers, for us, is to find us online and buy those services online. So there was a transition period where I think we may have been too early in going to the market with that new way of selling a service online, but now it's settled out and people don't mind shopping online at all, whether it's for a service or for a product.
Can we briefly, as a panel, can I ask each of you to identify what you think is the biggest business challenge for us as a nation? I'll start with Jenny.
I think currently, like right now, it's confidence. We've had a change in government and I think it's people's confidence generally, and it does impact what's happening globally on us. There's talk of a new recession coming. And I think for me personally, the NBN is the biggest thing right now, that we need certainty. We are online and we need the certainty for everyone to have the level of service that we have globally, and we need to match that right now.
So from Jenny, it's confidence and the need for certainty.
Absolutely.
With the issue of the NBN. What about you, Peter?
I deal a lot with startup companies, so it's understanding that whole startup industry and supporting those people who are going out starting brand new online businesses, knowing that what they need, which is accessibility, speed, global visibility. They also need a lot of funding. They also need support when they do get their businesses up and running, so that they can scale very quickly to a global market, which again then in turn helps the Australian economy, because they're all creating global businesses from Australia here. We don't want them to leave and go overseas.
Thank you very much all for your thoughts. After the break, we'll explore this topic further when I chat with public relations expert Peter Ellis and a 21st century business development in southeast Queensland that's growing rapidly. Greater Springfield as a development is a business under the leadership and vision of the Springfield Land Corporation, and it's designed as a place to live, learn, work and play. To date, it has an investment of just over $3 billion, and when complete, $32 billion will have been invested. Currently, 25,000 people live there. In late 2014, Springfield will see the opening of GE's new state headquarters. This is in addition to the Springfield Tower and the Polaris Centre. Also on the plans are a 52-hectare master-planned integrated health campus, including the $85 million 80-bed Mater Private Hospital, due to open in late 2015. In addition, there's a planned 1,200-bed public and private hospital to follow. Further expansion of Education City with the new USqG building shows great confidence from the university. Springfield now has 9 private and public schools. The $60 million Brisbane Lions Elite Training and Administration Facility will open in mid-2016. Other major developments include the Stage 2 development of the Robel Domain and the Orion Springfield Central, both now in design phase. Greater Springfield has a job creation target for 2030 of 30,000. That's 1 job for every 3 residents. Finally, the rail line and 2 Springfield rail stations will be open in December. The rail journey will take just 42 minutes from Springfield Central to Brisbane Central.
How do you find living in Springfield?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really close to the city, but it's really quiet at the same time.
It's actually quite exciting if you think about it, with the future developments of the Robel Domain. And in a few years' time we have Orion that is actually further expansion. So to actually be a resident of several years and to actually see how fast it's growing, it's actually quite exciting. And not to mention you've got the adaptation of the university building, which is going to be great for the Springfield area, and it's recognised on a large scale.
Well, coming from a country town, Springfield actually is pretty big to me. I quite like it. It's an open area and there's heaps of shops, and I quite enjoy the area. Yeah.
I think Springfield is a great community. I think that seeing as it is developing so quickly, I feel we're a really tight-knit sort of base, and it's only going to continue to grow.
How do you personally find the Robel Domain will benefit Springfield?
Well, I believe I've been down to the Robel Domain heaps of times, and it's entertaining. When I first moved here, the whole entire light show, audio show, it just amazed me. It's like a futuristic park, to be honest.
I feel the Robel Domain has already brought so much to the Springfield area, and to know that it's just going to expand is very exciting in itself. You'll never see Robel Domain empty on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday in that matter. So to know that it's actually going to be expanded that little bit more is exciting.
I actually really like Robel. Like the light show and the music and the atmosphere generally, it gives off a great vibe, and it's great to sort of just walk 30 seconds down the road and have a place you can chill out. And there's the park, and there's the light show, and then there's the water park, which is awesome. And yeah, I think it's a great attraction.
Robel Domain is a good park for family outing. There are good running tracks, so you can keep yourself fit. They have light shows and music at night, so you can go there and chill after your studies. And it's a good place to be around.
Robel Park's just a nice little place close by. It's great to go and relax in, and there's plenty of other things for families, which is good for the area.
Brian Brown, when we consider the massive growth that's happening in the region, and we've seen just one of the many developments, what does this mean for business?
That's absolutely huge growth. I mean, when we talk about 1 in 3 jobs, or you know, business creating a job for every 3 residents, that's fantastic. And obviously what we're creating here is a business hub. It attracts more businesses, more development, and obviously more investment. Absolutely fantastic.
Are we training enough people with the skills required to meet the demands of this new century?
I think we are, but it really comes down to how long is that training relevant? And that's really a key question. As we spoke about before, technology is constantly changing, and I think it's just that keep the upgrade and with the training.
What are the trends you see in terms of types of business that are being established and growing in this region?
Sure. Look, it's a big diversity of business. We see a lot of tech-based businesses and professional type of businesses like your healthcare, education, finance. So it's certainly a big, broad range.
Thanks very much, Brian. And Peter, how have you changed the way that you operated your PR business in comparison to the late 1990s?
Well, I started in 2001 and basically we're a full-service PR agency. And I did the complete rookie starter era of offering everything to everybody and not really having a niche. So what I have refined over the years is focused on online publicity, which includes all social media and just focused on that one particular area.
When did it become evident that you would need to change to be able to keep operating successfully in business?
About 2007, I signed up to Twitter and became a Twitter addict and then realised it opened my mind to what the Americans were doing. So the American public relations industry and social media was booming as the launch of Twitter was early 2007. So seeing how they operated and reached out to businesses and serviced their clients online, for me was an eye-opener on what I needed to do here. But then from then it was an education process for my clients on how we could manage that together.
What about your clients? How are they dealing with the business changes and challenges?
Today, brilliantly, because now everybody is online all the time in their social life, in their personal life. So converting that mentality to being online in business is not an issue. Starting out back in 2007, trying to get people to put their businesses online and communicate online with their customers was difficult because they weren't used to being online all the time and communicating with them online. Also selling products, taking feedback, managing reviews, whereas now everybody's used to it. They're used to engaging online all the time.
Still to come on Good Business, I'll talk to Jenny Palmer, a business owner who's felt the full brunt of business change and survived to tell the story. And we have a final panel discussion on this important topic. Welcome back, and now we'll go back to our PR expert, Peter Ellis. Peter, do you think that the way we're doing business today is the most effective way, or are we just going along unquestioning?
I think we're getting better. I think we can get a lot better in the future on embracing online businesses, but it doesn't also mean that everybody who has a business right now also needs to go online. It is only for some business that it's relevant to go and create an online global business that scales quickly. Sometimes it's fine to operate exactly how you are right now. It depends whether you're a service-related business, whether you're a retail. I mean, retail's changed the face of their industry phenomenally in the last 2 to 3 years, and it's going to do more so in the next 12 months. So I think it depends what industry it is, really highlights where they're going to be going. So I would say don't just go along as if everything's been the same forever. You do need to question what's best for your individual business or where the industry is going. And the best way to look at that is to see what other countries are doing with good economies and see what they're doing in the online space to see what could possibly work for us here.
In terms of public relations and broader communication strategies, what are some of the key things that business owners need to think about?
Social media policy, social media policy, social media policy. Every single employee within a business is now the PR person for the company. Whether they like it or not, when they leave the office, whether they leave their online profile at work, they are still representing their company, and every employer needs to realise that. So we've moved away from having one representative to manage the reputation for the company to now every employee within that company, and it can even be a person who works not at the front end of the business. Whenever they speak of the company name online, they are promoting either in a good way or a bad way, the company. So covering all bases on your reputation online, not just to the public but also internally with your staff, is really, really important.
So we're talking reputation management and of the need for every business that has employees to have a social media policy.
And that also includes anybody that, contractor relations. So now we're seeing the rise of outsourcing, so even global freelancers, so we've got Freelancer and Elance and 99 Designs and all sorts of companies that can work on your business. They might not be employer, but they're contractors. They can all fall under that same policy.
Thank you very much. That's an extremely good point and something we should all be aware of. Our next guest, Jenny Palmer, is a business owner who understands that the new economy really means the day-to-day existence and experience in business. Jenny, describe for me what your business is about today.
Today I have an e-commerce business, and that's involved in the deregulation of essential services globally. So what I do is I provide an online store in 23 countries. So I have small business and residential clients, and I provide all telecommunications, internet, etc., electricity, gas, and now soft banking. We've just partnered with Visa and MasterCard globally, so that's an exciting thing, bringing that into merchant services as well.
How on earth did you think of such a concept?
Luckily, I didn't have to. It's basically a franchise underneath a parent company, so I don't have all of those issues that normal startups have. I walked in, so what I do is I have customers and I teach people how to open their online store.
We have talked about franchising before on the program, so that's a very interesting concept. It's in fact quite a change from your previous career.
Absolutely, it couldn't be more chalk and cheese. I have a 30-year career in the media, behind the scenes as a television and film editor and producer. And yes, my husband and I in the 80s left one of the major networks and started our own post-production house in Crow's Nest in Sydney. So outsourcing was happening back then. They were contracting rather than employing right back then in the 80s. But we were so busy, being busy, as a lot of business owners are in their business. You know, you're working in your business, not on your business. And we didn't see the digital era coming fast enough. So in the year 2000, it was announced that digital is here now this year. So there was a huge lead up, but immediately overnight, our business went obsolete.
How did you cope with that transition?
We didn't. We were really skilled at what we did. We were very skilled film editors and video editors and producers, and we tried to hold on to that. You know, we sort of didn't change rapidly enough. It wasn't until 2004 we opened our new business. So we failed miserably in really reacting to that change and embracing new things.
Wouldn't it have been easier to move away from your own business and work for someone else rather than completely starting all over?
Probably. A lot of people suggested that. But you know what? When you have your own business, the last thing you want to do is go back to being an employee. You know, I loved building our business. I love building businesses. And I would rather build a business for myself and my family than being an employee. I mean, a job, they call a job just over broke, and it is. You're really somebody else's leverage when you have a job. So we were desperately looking for a business for ourselves.
What have you learnt from this experience?
A lot. You have to react quickly, you have to make decisions quickly, and you have to be open. So it took us a long time to actually see the possibility of learning something new. You know, when you have a niche that you're really, really tied to and that you love, that you're passionate about, so you have to really react quickly and make decisions quickly, you know.
For someone who's in a similar position that you found yourself in, what would you say to them? What would be your advice?
I'd say change is actually wonderful. You know, being out of your comfort zone is a great place, and learning new things is fantastic. You know, they say that people have around 7 careers now in a lifetime, whereas once we were used to having just one. So embrace change and be open and look, because you might miss the most incredible opportunity just because of your preconceived ideas. Would you agree with that, Peter? The importance of embracing change and business in the 21st? Constantly evolving all the time. Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to stay the same, you're going to be absolutely left behind. You have to embrace change all the time, but also look a bit ahead to be aware of what's coming and be prepared to sort of shift and pivot
constantly. Businesses need to be prepared to change constantly.
And going to Brian now, is that something that you advise your clients about the need to embrace change?
Absolutely, flexibility to adapt. Change is something that people don't like to do, but we unfortunately have to do. You've got to get out of that comfort zone and go beyond that. And by going beyond that, your business builds faster and further.
Brian, what are the key elements that you suggest that business owners need to consider given the demands of today's business climate?
And look, I think I just said that probably flexibility to adapt, and as Jenny was saying, is that change? And I take my hat off to Jenny, from what happened with you and to change to something else, that's fantastic. Something that we haven't spoke about here was it's staff. It's how hard to find staff, really good staff, and also retain them. And also have the staff buy into the vision of the business as well. So that's an important issue I see in going forward, is actually staff in businesses here in Australia.
Good point. Thanks very much, Brian. Peter, can you give us a final word on doing business in the 21st century?
I'm just going to follow on from Brian's mention there of staff in terms of working in the online space. A lot of companies now globally have staff all over the world.
Yes. Even
in Australia, we're working towards creating these global, these online hubs where employees can work remotely. They don't actually have to commute into the CBD or whatnot. So I think setting up good co-working spaces so that people can collaborate and work together, which give them the benefits of working alongside other people, so they don't have to work from home, even people with their own businesses. You still want to go to work and work alongside somebody else. So I work at River City Labs in Fortitude Valley, and that's all about that. Everybody working on their own business so that they can collaborate together.
Jenny, a final word from you.
I think everyone's talked about social media. I think whether you've got a job or a business, if you're not networking, you won't be working in the 21st century. And there's a great a North American futurist, Alvin Toffler, and he says this: the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who can't read or write. They're the people who can't learn, unlearn, and then relearn. So you've always got to be moving and open.
And relating to change.
Absolutely.
Keeping relevant and ready for the current challenges is vital. I hope this episode has helped you with advice from our experts. Thanks to our studio guests Brian Brown, Jenny Palmer and Peter Ellis. And thank you for watching Good Business. Next week we look at crisis management. Join me same time for that topic. Meanwhile, if you'd like to find out more or watch the shows again, go to goodbusinesstv.com.au. I'm Kathy Davis. Enjoy Good Business.